From talking to strangers to not using the metric system, these are 10 things that Americans do which other countries find just completely weird. Tipping. If you're heading out of the country, here's a hot tip. Don't leave one. While in the US, leaving a tip of anywhere between 15 to 20% of your total tab at a restaurant is normal. It's just not cool in other countries. In fact, many places abroad, it's actually considered rude. In Japan, tipping is a direct insult because it implies the person that you're tipping doesn't make enough money. Speaking of those greenbacks, even the color of the US money seems to be a principal issue with the rest of the world. Bills in most other countries are different colors, sizes, and shapes. The only way to tell the US dollars apart, though, are from the dead presidents on the front and numbers plastered all over it. How confusing is that? Regardless of how foreigners feel about the subject, no matter what color the bills are, they all add up the same, and you can take that to the bank. This dates all the way back to the American Civil War days, whenever the federal government began issuing paper currency. Photo technology was not able to replicate colors in those days, so in an effort to prevent fraud, the government had decided to print the back of the bills in color. Green was the unanimous choice due to the fact that it was to represent stability, and the greenback was born. America. But what about other American customs? Kind of like the custom of Americans calling the United States America. Others find this really strange because although the United States is in America, America is more of a continent, not so much a country. While Americans, as in US Americans, may not think anything of the blanket term, many South Americans and Canadians are not too thrilled about it. They say hogging the name is imperialistic, US-centric, and a bit pig-headed. In the US's defense, in the 1500s, the term was used to embrace all of America, from north to south and even central. But the British began calling the citizens of the USA Americans. Yep, it's all on the Brits. When confronted about the controversy, Americans have stated that it's just easier to refer to the United States of America as America, which kind of makes sense. To the US at least. Flags. Another custom that is red flagged by many other countries is the fact that there are so many flags in the US. Flags fly everywhere in the States, from the federal buildings to historical sites, and many homes and other businesses as well. The practice is viewed as nationalistic by some countries. Ironically, the flag symbolizing freedom comes with some stiff laws, such as the one that states that if a flag touches the ground, it has to be burned. We probably don't want to know what other countries think about that. Altering how many stars and stripes that an American flag has is also considered a federal offense. The national flag, though, isn't the only one that is waved all across the nation, as you'll find many state flags, Native American tribal flags, military flags for the different branches and services, along with custom flags from pop culture and historical ones. And your neighbor's porch won't be the only place that you'll find the American flag, as just about anything and everything you can imagine gets printed with a flag on it. From shirts and socks to plates and cups, and even toys to jewelry all get the Star-Spangled treatment. Prescriptions. Foreigners are sick of the appeal that a pill holds and why prescription drug commercials are so popular on American television. Since 2018, 187 television commercials have aired close to 500,000 times, marketing 70, count them 70, different prescriptions and medications. And they all advise listeners to ask their doctor about the medication that they're appealing to. In other countries, such as England and Australia, a prescription is just what the doctor ordered. Literally. And they think a patient asking his or her doctor about a particular pill is a wee bit sick. They obviously find it a hard pill to swallow and have no patience with US patients asking for drugs, and find the nation's obsession with prescription drug commercials being a bit too commercial. Talking to strangers. Apparently other countries find it strange that those who live in the United States talk to complete strangers. The reason that many foreign countries don't isn't so much a matter of stranger danger as it is the question of why. Most believe that if you don't have a reason to talk to a stranger, you just don't. Americans, on the other hand, do, and many other countries feel that Americans have taken free speech way too far. They don't like that we talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, 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 talk way too much and way too loud, and about nothing and to practically anyone. Another common complaint from abroad is that Americans always ask how everyone is doing, but aren't too interested in the answer. They don't understand why Americans use that as a greeting rather than simply saying, saying hi. They're even screaming all about different accents in US, like Bostonian babbling, California accents, and the Texas drawl. If they had things their way, Americans might not talk at all. School. In the United States, going to university out of state typically costs well over $46,000 a year. It's something that most Americans are just used to, but many that are not from the United States find charging so much for continued education is not smart at all. In many countries, various colleges, universities, and even trade schools are either for free or very cheap, and citizens are actually encouraged to attend them. Even becoming a doctor doesn't cost an arm and a leg in various places like Germany, where medical school is free. Plus, there's not even an admission entrance exam that has to be taken. The only requirement is that you must learn German. Sweden, Denmark, France, Finland, and Greece colleges, as well as universities, are also free of charge, and some will even pay you to go to school. No wonder other countries consider it unclassy that the US makes it so difficult and expensive for citizens to pursue economic advancements in a land where no child is left behind. That is, until they reach college. Measuring. The US doesn't measure up to other countries' standards whenever it comes to measurements. The fact that we are one of only 3 countries that still use the old imperial system is hard for them to fathom, at least to some degree. The reason that we don't change is quite clear. We clearly don't want to. In reality, it all adds up to blaming one more thing to the British because the imperial system was in place whenever North America was colonized, and it's going to be bloody well staying that way, even though Europe went with a way of more modernized metric systems a long time ago. The US had considered switching to the metric system, but after the Industrial Revolution brought about so many manufacturing plants that use the imperial system, it basically was ruled that it would cost too much time and money to make the change. Some, especially the British, kind of look at it more as a rebellion by the US. You know, give an inch and take a mile. And so, the conversions continue. Inches to centimeters and meters to miles. Driving too much. Speaking of miles, apparently the amount of driving that Americans do drives other countries crazy. According to the Federal Highway Administration, Americans drive an average of 14,300 miles per year. Foreigners get all fueled up about the car culture in the US, where not only do most adults own a car, they have the audacity to drive them too, and they drive them everywhere. In other countries, there are cars and roads, but the engineering of their towns makes it much easier to ride bikes and walk, or even take a bus, train, or subway. They think that complaining about the price of gas, yet so much of the time using cars for gas, is just a matter of Americans spinning their wheels, and they are a gas at all the harm that they are causing to the environment. Wearing shoes inside. The practice of wearing shoes inside is frowned upon or even forbidden in many countries, and foreigners kind of find it odd that Americans don't feel the same way. Americans rarely take their shoes off when entering a building or a house, but in China, wearing shoes inside is actually considered bad luck. Even the countries that aren't superstitious about the practice of wearing shoes inside still think that it's self-defeating to go to the trouble of cleaning the floors and then just walk on them with germy shoes, not to mention the mud that they bring in on rainy days and the wear and tear that they wreak on the carpet. The US is one of the only places where wearing shoes inside is not considered rude, but more or less unsanitary.